Almost. Major. Holy fucking shit, this is major!
Alright, in honor of the director of House of the Dead, I feel like we should maybe go around and ask ourselves a question. When did we realize that movies could be bad as young cinephiles?
Charlie.
This doesn't really qualify as like when did I know movies were bad or not, but I do remember the first time I left a theater and I didn't like it, although I bet if I did go see this again, I would say this is bad. Is anyone remember, and funny enough, this came out the same year as Ringmaster, which we just covered. Anyone see the movie Ants, the CGI movie voiced by...
I actually have it.
It features the voice talents of everyone's favorite Woody Allen. I'm sorry. It features Woody Allen, Jesus Christ, and Sharon Stone. And I remember I had a choice between seeing that and Babe Pig in the City, and I didn't know which one to choose, and I chose Ants.
Oh my god!
And I left the theater being like, I don't think I liked that. And then I got home and I cried because I realized I didn't like a movie for the first time seeing it in a theater. And I begged and cried to my parents, can we please go see Baby Pig in the City tomorrow, or the next day? And they were like, you can wait till next weekend. And, you know, me being a child, having like a fucking temper tantrum in the worst possible way. And look, I haven't seen Ants in about, so it's 2021 right now. I haven't seen Ants in over
23 years.
Several years. And I have seen Babe Pig in the City recently, and I saw it as a child and liked it, and I saw it as an adult and I really liked it, and I can say that was the first time that child me was right. So yeah, that's my take. What's all yours?
I'll go next, but I'm just imagining just a kid you just being like, you don't get it. Jeffrey Katzenberg, he left Pixar, and then he made his ripoff of A Bug's Life, and I thought it would be better than this.
I'm pretty sure, did Ants come out before A Bug's Life, though? I'm pretty sure Ants was like, oh shit, A Bug's Life is also coming out. We have to get this out beforehand.
I think he left when they were developing that, and he was like, I'm going to go to DreamWorks and try to put out an Ants movie before A Bug's Life, but I could be wrong.
Guys, Ants comes out the month before A Bug's Life. October 1988 is when Ants comes out. Bug's Life is November.
And it's also just a gross movie. I mean, they have like homages to war films where they go to battle with like termites, and there's a kid with a magnifying glass who fries them, and it's an ugly movie.
You know,
it's just...
Yeah, you know, kids movie shit. Yeah. It's like around about 2002, 2003-ish, probably around 2002. I saw the movie Darkness, which I believe has Anna Paquin in it.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I bought that fucking thing on DVD.
And I remember at the time that this was a movie that kept getting pushed back. I think it was a Miramax Dimension movie, but like it got like cut down to PG-13, but it was supposed to come out because right around this time I was huge on like bloody disgusting upcoming horror movies forums, and I really wanted to see it, and then I saw it and I was like, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. So it's either that or it's Darkness Falls. I don't know which one came out first, but it's one of those that I was just like, oh, movies are bad, but I'm also amazed at how bad they are. And like, I remember I tried to rewatch Darkness Falls because I was like, surely
You mean Darkness. Darkness Falls is the other, that's like the Tooth Fairy movie, right?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. Wait, did I say... The Anna Paquin one's called Darkness as well?
Yeah.
There's Darkness is Anna Paquin. Darkness Falls is Jonathan Leah Bestman. It's like about tooth fairies or something.
Right. I'm talking about both of them. So it's either Darkness or Darkness Falls.
Yes, there are two.
Yes.
One, Darkness Falls came out in 2003, and I think Darkness was dumped on Christmas Day in 2004.
Okay, then it was Darkness Falls first, yeah. Which is a movie that's... I think it's like 80 minutes long and the credits are 11 minutes because they didn't have a movie that was long enough to be a theatrical movie, so they had to just stretch out the credits. But yeah, I haven't thought of that movie in so long. but I remember rewatching it because I was like, surely it's me. It's not the movie. This movie can't be bad. It's got to be me. And then I rewatched it. I was like, no, it's pretty bad. It almost felt good that I was just like, oh, I have discernible taste now. I know when movies are bad and they are good. And movies that are good are Swim Band and Clockstoppers. Yes, I was Jesse Bradford Hive forever.
I didn't even like Clockstoppers as a kid. I think Ants was 1998, Clockstoppers was 2002, but I did have a subscription to Nickelodeon magazine, and closeted 11-year-old me might have had a Clockstoppers poster on my wall as a child because I found Jesse Bradford very attractive and didn't know what I was exactly feeling at that point, even though I saw the movie.
I like it when he stops time, I think.
No, he doesn't stop time. It's just that things move very,
so
very
fast.
slowly. He moves so slow. Yeah.
Right. And French Stewart, for some reason, is trying to take him down.
Yeah. And they have those freezer guns. Anyway, Bryden, what's your loss of innocence when it comes to the magic of cinema?
I feel like the one that I can think of, even though I barely remember this movie, was probably Deck the Halls, the movie where Matthew Broderick and Danny DeVito are neighbors who are fighting with each other about Christmas lights. Danny DeVito wants to have the most elaborate Christmas lights display so his house can be seen from space. And that infuriates Broderick, so he just basically spends the whole movie trying to sabotage DeVito. And I remember just like not finding the movie funny and also being like really kind of mean and aggravating, and that's like the example I could think of. I was like probably 8 at the time, so that's like pretty early.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I was in high school when that movie came out. Fuck.
I watched that as my teacher was like, I'm not gonna teach you anything, we're gonna watch fucking Deck the Halls. And then somebody was like, what about Christmas with the Cranks? And they were like, the same fucking movie. Just put it on. So like Darkness and Darkness Falls, how I got those mixed up, Christmas with the Cranks and Deck the Halls, same movie.
Yeah, same thing. I did see the unrated version of Darkness, which I heard was more coherent, but also apparently sucks.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder who directed that. I think it was like a...
It was a Spanish production.
It's the guy who did Wreck, which I know you really like, Kevin.
Wow!
Oh, shit, it's the same guy who did Wreck? Wreck is bad.
Wreck is a masterpiece, dude.
And I'm also looking at his...
kidding me?
And I'm looking at his filmography. He also wrote the remake to Inside. You know, like there was that new French Extremity movie with like Beatrice Dorlans, like the pregnant woman. They remade that in America, and he wrote the remake of that.
I know they remade Martyrs, but I didn't know they did Inside.
Yeah, in 2016.
Did
the remake also take place on Christmas Eve?
Yes, it does. It does. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that is really funny that like Inside is technically a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie, more than a Halloween movie for some people.
Good movie. I watched it recently. The original.
I like that movie a lot. I mean, yeah.
I just recently went through like the French Extremity movies because when those came out, I thought they were the greatest shits ever. I just thought they were so awesome. Now I rewatched them. I was like, wait. High Tension kind of sucks.
High Tension is incredibly homophobic, and the twist ending makes no sense.
Makes no sense. It has some like the best part about the entire movie is the trailer because it's set to Sonic Youth's Superstar, and it's really awesome. But as a movie, I remember being young, and even I was just like, the ending doesn't make any sense, but all the other stuff is good. And now I'm just like,
without trying to spoil anything, the twist ending reveals that someone has a car chase with themselves, which is kind
things. Today on Almost Major, where we discuss the many major studios and the films they release, we are talking about the first masterpiece from one Uwe Boll. It's a video game adaptation. It's a prequel to the video games for some reason. It's called House of the Dead.
It was a nightmare. It all started a few days ago.
Where do you hide when they're everywhere? What do you do when there's no way out? How do you kill what's already dead? Any way you can.
Doesn't this bother any of you? We're on the island where the party of the year is supposed to be happening, but it's completely deserted.
Well, they sure as hell did not go to 7-Eleven to get more booze.
Run! There must be some kind of scientific explanation for this.
It's not human. It's like it's been mutated.
So, what now?
We send them back to hell.
Now, the only way to make it back alive is to send them all back to the House of the Dead.
I've been waiting for you for a long time.
It's a prequel?
It's a prequel to the video games.
We'll get there.
I mean, I've seen the movie. I prepped for this podcast. I had no idea this was a prequel. I played the game. I own the game on Wii. But yeah, anyway, keep going.
Which was released in 2003. This is
Yes.
Uwe Boll's pretty much first major movie. He had a few movies before this. He has I think the one before this was like a school shooter drama.
With a pretty famous Elizabeth Moss, who we...
Right.
And there was like an interview that he gave, I think with Vanity Fair, where he said, like, you know, and that's my thing, I always get the timing wrong. And they said, like, I think she changed her number. And it's like so sad.
He was just like, ah, ha, ha. But it's called Heart of America in 2002. And then in 2000, he has a movie called Sanctimony in 2000 with Casper Van Dien. And then before that is a lot of, like... movies he made in Germany, because he is German.
Yeah, and like they were very independent. Like there was one movie, I think I have it in my notes, where he like, to save accommodation things, he like drove like his cast and crew like 500 miles or something to like to Geneva, I think, so they could shoot for 10 hours, and then like that would like save accommodations or whatever. And his mom like did the catering for one of his movies or something.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'll try to find the sources so I can like properly credit the people.
I just thought of the fucking Sideshow Bob gag from The Simpsons, where it's like he has Die Bart Die tattooed on his chest. And then they're like,
it's German.
It's German for the Bart, the. And then someone says, anyone who speaks German can't be an evil man. I'd like to counter argument. Uwe Boll might be an evil man.
Yeah, this
and no one else who speaks German. Obviously, they're all clear. By the way, I've been to Berlin. I love Germany. Just not that I am very worldly.
Charlie's like, just want to let all the German people know it was just a joke. I don't affiliate myself with the views of Sideshow Bob.
No.
House of the Dead came out October 10th, 2003. It went wide in 1,500 theaters. It's a budget of $12 million. Opening weekend, it made $5.6 million. Domestic gross of $10.1 million and worldwide of $13.8 worldwide. Let's look at the weekend this came out. Number 1 was Kill Bill Volume 1. Number 2 is School of Rock. Number 3 is Good Boy, which I saw in theaters for some reason. Number 4 is Intolerable Cruelty. Number 5 is Out of Time. Number 6, House of Dead. Number 7, The Rundown. Number 8, Under the Tuscan Sun. Number 9, Secondhand Lines. And number 10, surprisingly, is Lost in Translation.
It was rising in traction as it expanded from more screens. I do remember, I'm just going to throw this out there, that this was during the time, like, when I first started being able to go to the movies alone with friends when I was like 12. Mm-hmm. And I did go see The Rundown and School of Rock, especially School of Rock, were movies that I saw alone with friends without my parents for the first time and being like, this is amazing. And I remember House of the Dead being like basically shunned to the like 20-something seat theater, just like off to the corner.
Played one time at like 10 p.m.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it was that one that was like, what's over here? No, that's okay. Like it was one of those. And also wishing I had the guts to sneak into Kill Bill Volume 1, but knowing I would get in so much trouble if I did. So
yeah. First movie I tried to sneak into, I think I may have talked about this, was Zack and Miri, and I got kicked out and had to go see Max Payne. So I never...
Oh, yes, you did mention that.
Yeah. So I never snuck into another movie after that, and then by the time, like, next year, I was already 17 and able to go see rated R movies. The writer for this movie is Mark A. Altman. Prior to this, he co-wrote Free Enterprise in 1998, which is, I guess, is a movie about Star Trek nerds meeting Shatner. He produces and writes on network shows now. He also wrote the sequel, which I think is like direct-to-DVD, direct-to-TV. I saw it when it came out. I didn't really care to rewatch it. And also credited for writing is Dave Parker, and he has said that his version of the screenplay was trashed and completely rewritten, and what you see on screen is not his screenplay. So
I mean, I looked at his IMDb credits. Dave Parker, his preceding credits are Bimbo Movie Bash in 1997, The Dead Hate the Living in 2000, The Brotherhood 2 and Young Warlocks in 2001, Masters of Horror, which is like a TV documentary in 2002, and then I guess House of The Dead Reborn in 2013, and then he contributed, I think, to this anthology film called Tales of Halloween, which I think some people kind of like, in 2015. Yeah. And It Watches in 2016. But I don't know. Him like saying the script got trashed when it was Bimbo Movie Bash. Bimbo Movie Bash is one of the credits that he had. That makes me doubtful.
Acting like he was the co-writer on Citizen Kane or something.
Yeah. Do you guys know who was supposed to make this movie first, or who was originally?
No, I actually don't.
So Variety had an article on June 24th, 1998, where it was originally going to be Jesse Dillon, as in son of Bob. He was going to direct it. It was going to be his feature debut. He was going to direct and produce, and it was going to be DreamWorks that was going to make it, not Artisan. And it was going to be written by Mark Verheiden, who previously wrote Time Cop, which rules, and also The Mask with Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The screenwriter was going to get $350,000 against $700,000 to pen the screenplay, and this was the premise of the movie. It says, quote, it takes place in a small college town where the ultra-fashionable goth house serves as a haven for zombies, who happen to be the hippest and most popular kids in the school. After the death of a friend at the hands of one of the Walking Dead occurs during a rave, so they kept that part in, and following a series of gruesome murders around the campus, the main character, Jenny, and a group of nerdy necro warriors strike out to avenge their friends' untimely deaths.
Where's that movie? I want it.
I know. Yeah, I mean, Jesse Dillon did go on to make other movies. He made Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell, How High.
Oh, wow.
And American Wedding. He did something called Soros. He's done a lot of music videos, like for the Black Keys. And
the Black Keys?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's Jesse Dillon. He's done fine for himself. I mean, he's Bob Dylan's son, so I'm sure he's fine. And then
that makes
sense. And then okay. Mark Verheiden, he did, I think the last movie that he wrote was My Name is Bruce, which is like a meta comedy with like Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of TV writing, like for Falling Skies, Daredevil, Ash vs. Evil Dead, Swamp Thing, Hemlock Grove, Heroes. So I guess they wanted to better things. You know, maybe they were better off not having this movie. Although that sounds way better than the movie that we got.
That's wild, yeah, because it had DreamWorks, because I think DreamWorks started in 98, right? It was about 98.
I think of like Spielberg, like that's like he's involved in that. And is Lost World Jurassic Park, is that 97? Is that the first DreamWorks movie?
I can see the cover. It's a George Clooney movie.
Is it The Peacemaker?
Yeah. I think that's the first DreamWorks movie.
It is. You're right.
There we go. When did that come out?
September 26, 1997.
So yeah, like I think just around that time, DreamWorks was just like, you, let's do it. And then eventually they were like, okay, maybe we need to chill. I could not see DreamWorks putting out House of the Dead.
Yeah, and then like in 2002, Variety writes the article where it's Uwe Boll is going to make the movie. It begins production in Vancouver in May. It says it begins production in Vancouver today. This is on May 14th, 2002. And they have like the new scriptwriters that we were talking about. I'm just looking to see who like was involved in it. Bright Light's Sean Williamson. They're like part of Bright Light Pictures, which they've produced more than 100 film and television productions. They say that some of the movies include White Noise, 50 Dead Men Walking, Colossal, Summer of '84, and also they're involved in The Good Doctor, which is like a very popular show that my parents watch.
Yeah. White Noise is so weird. Like, that's advertised as like the trailer for that movie when it came out scared the shit out of me. Because it has like the real EMT, supposedly real EMT things in the trailer. And then I watched the movie and I was like, this is a drama. This is about a guy who died, and like it's very dramatic and it's not scary like at all. Like it has some thriller elements, but it's like mostly a drama with Michael Keaton. So weird.
That also must have been like a very weird time for Michael Keaton when he wasn't like quite back.
Yeah.
This is also funny because this like factors into the final product of the movie. It says in the Variety article from 2002, and also it says at the start of the article, Cannes dash and everything. I'm like, were they reporting this from the Cannes Film Festival? But it says a Sega team will shoot alongside the production to secure images, motion capture, and gather other materials for House of the Dead 4. And I wrote in my notes, is that why the gameplay shots are spliced into the fucking film?
I don't think so. I did read that too, but then House of the Dead 4 came out like 4 years later. So I think they probably just scrapped that at that time. But
No, the Sega thing is written, that information's in the 2002 Variety article, and the movie comes out in 2003. So, yeah.
Right.
Have any of you played the game? Because I had it.
Yeah. I had it on
'cause
Dreamcast.
I had it on Wii, where they gave you like Wii was motion controlled, and you could put the remote into like a gun, like shaped thing, and it was motion controlled. And it's like the great thing about the game is that it really is like, I mean, it was meant to eat quarters, and you would, pick up the gun and just, it's fun like that.
You know what I love about House of Dead? The lore, the story,
the backstory. I loved how great it looked. It is funny that like I can't help but think about how like Resident Evil, which I think had a few. The first entry's fine. 2 is just abysmal. 3, but then like Paul W.S. Anderson with 4 and 5 in particular, like took what I think. I mean, I know it's a controversial film series, but he took like video game logic and took what was exciting about video game aesthetics and turned it into like something cinematically digestible in terms of like geometric like framing and like just knowing where the person is in relation to the enemy she faces and stuff like that, and it all looks good, and this is just a mess. Like, it's just...
Glad you mentioned Resident Evil for a couple of reasons. In that Variety article from 2002, they talk about how one of the producers, Daniel Kletsky, was one of the producers of Resident Evil, which comes out in 2002, that movie.
Yeah.
So that's a connection. But also, there is a bit... At the end of the movie, House of the Dead, they have... the website link where they say "House of the Dead," like in that deeply distorted voice that you know what is actually being said, and you can visit on the Wayback Machine the actual movie website, and they have emails that Uwe Boll apparently has written, and at one point he says, "We have so many gory effects compared to Resident Evil, where you never saw a real gory blood effect, that I think for the rating it's helpful to have in some parts. Opticals from the game to show the rating guys, hey, it's only a game." That's a quote from Uwe Boll's emails.
Is he talking about the video game or the movie?
I wonder if he's talking about
because both Resident Evil the game and the first movie are fairly gory. Like, remember when the guy gets all cubed up and whatnot? Like, that's pretty fucked up.
I assume he's shit talking the movie because it's like out around the same time. Around the time that movie comes out, around the time that he's filming House of the Dead. Right. I think this is like from his emails while he's making the movie.
So on the Uwe Boll of it all, I wonder, has he just always been a shit kicker or what? Because he just came out the gate, at least in America, just being like, everybody can go fuck themselves because I'm the man. And everybody's like, no, your movies suck. And he was like, I know, but I'm still the best.
Now, he is an asshole, but this does shine on the Vanity Fair article by Darren King from 2017 when Uwe Boll was announcing his retirement from filmmaking. There is a bit where he talks about his father, and he says, "My father was always yelling around. He taught me that I'm just a waste of time, told me I was a fucking loser, always cursed, and so on. I was brought up like this. It's normal for me to wait for a way to talk like this, and it's tough for me to put that back or calm down, you know." So that's really awful. Like I think anyone would struggle with an upbringing like that. But I mean, his attitude is quite poor as an adult.
Isn't that just how fathers raise kids in Germany or what?
I have no idea. I can't speak of any knowledge of that. But it's Anyways, but that does shine like a lot of light on like, oh, I guess that's.
I'm going to have to read that article because, right around that time is when he starts his restaurant and people were like, yo, you're an amazing, this is an amazing place.
Yeah, and then that closed down too, and it seems like that ended not very amicably either, where he said, I had to, sue his landlord or something. According to...
Oh my god.
It's an interview with Following. Yeah, it says, according to Boll, Bauhaus is the name of the restaurant. It was in Vancouver, Canada, where he shoots a lot of his movies. This was in 2020. He said it relocated to Germany. I sued my landlord. His time at the restaurant business seems to be a rather negative experience. When asked whether he enjoyed his work, he simply said no. And now he wants to come back to making movies, and he already has ideas for all that stuff. I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but
no.
There's a lot of choice quotes, like saying he wants to make a movie called Annihilation. I assume not related to the Alex Garland movie.
It would be better than the Alex Garland movie, but go on.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
He also has hopes for Postal 2, which he tried to do through Kickstarter years earlier. And he also wants to work with other actors, including Mel Gibson, Tom Hanks, and Michael Caine. I feel like he missed the boat with Michael Caine, but
Mel Gibson.
He could probably get Mel Gibson. He could probably do that. He could probably get Mel Gibson and John Travolta.
From what I understand, I have not seen as many of his movies, but he's gotten more like trolly as he's gone on. Apparently, I swear there was an episode of the AV Club podcast I listened to like 10 years ago where someone mentioned that like at one point, I think it might have been during In the Name of the King, the Jason Statham movie, like he apparently went on rants about how Owen Wilson was a wimp because he didn't actually fully commit suicide. Like just certain shit like that, where he's just an awful, horrible, detestable human being.
God,
he's apparently just a monster.
Jesus
like,
Christ.
Yeah, like he's just a troll. He's just the worst type of provocateur, and he apparently gets more winky. I mean, I will lay my cards on the table. This is the first film of his I've seen. I've heard Ghostfire, like campfire stories of his filmography for years, but never fully exposed my eyeballs to them until just today. And oh my god, did it not disappoint in terms of just hackney, and here's the thing is, like, I brought up Resident Evil to be like I like movies that are just not really about anything and the acting's not great and it's just a zombie killing thing, even when I'm zombied out. But like, there's just nothing here. He's just the word. Like, I don't understand how this got a wide release. This was number 6 at the box office.
Hell yeah, it was.
Like, compared to certain things, like, I don't think In the Cut got a wide release. I don't think... What are some other 2003 movies? I don't think Monster, which won Charlize Theron an Oscar, got as wide.
Would In the Cut have gotten a wide release if it got a cinema score? Because doesn't a movie have to be in a certain number of theaters?
No, maybe you might be right about that. No, I just, for whatever reason, my brain just thinks that movie got a New York, LA release and then it tanked because it was released on Halloween. But like, I just think about so many other things that came out in 2003. Like, I doubt Dogville, the Lars von Trier movie, talking about a real provocateur who actually has something to say. I doubt that got as many screens as this fucking piece of shit.
In the Cut was limited October 22nd, 2003, and then went wide on Halloween.
Okay.
But it made $4 million. So
so
this still made more money.
Yeah, and also it's thinking of Uwe Boll's movie Alone in the Dark, which was the follow-up, I believe, to House of the Dead. That got an F cinema score, which is the same score that In the Cut got. Just very unfair. Neither of those movies.
Just very, very. Well, one is a masterpiece. One I haven't seen, but I can assume certain things about. So,
you haven't seen In the Cut? You're calling Alone in the Dark a masterpiece? Is that what you're saying? No, I'm kidding.
We're not going to get into why In the Cut is a great movie and why Kevin is wrong. But
no. I was making a joke that you were calling Alone in the Dark a masterpiece. I've seen In the Cut. It's
what
good.
If they switch? What if they swap directors? Jane Campion's Alone in the Dark. Uwe Boll is In the Cut.
Oh fuck yes, yes.
Oh Jesus Christ!
I would ride for that. Yes. On the Resident Evil House of the Dead zombie stuff at the time, which of course there was like 28 Days Later the year before. Right? The year before?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I think it was actually, I think that came out in 2002 in the UK, but it was released in the US in the same year.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But also like 98 where they announced it at DreamWorks. I think this may have been around the time that like George Romero like wrote his version of Resident Evil and was trying to get that made, and then they were just like, no. I think somewhere around there, because it's funny, there's I watched the special features on House of the Dead, and there's a short featurette about the making of House of the Dead, but also just about zombie movies at the time. And it's just funny seeing Romero talk about how he has a movie called Land of the Dead that he's trying to make, but nobody will finance it and stuff like that. And then It's just shots of Uwe Boll just being like, I made my zombie movie and it's great. It has Mark Altman, the writer, saying that to Uwe Boll it's always important that House of the Dead was an action movie first, which makes no sense because House of the Dead is a horror movie game. But Altman also said it's always said that you don't get away from the Romero movie school of thought, but we just wanted to make a movie that was fun. Do you guys agree it's a fun movie? No, it's not. And the same thing, he talks about like how he's excited for the sequel because he wants to get away from the action of the first one and stuff like that, which kind of like backhanded compliment a bit. But he did go on to write the sequel, and from what I remember, it's much more of a horror movie. Anyways,
I mean, this movie's fun in all the wrong ways.
Yeah,
I disagree. I found this like a real slog to get through.
I will say I kept thinking like this is fun, and then but horribly fun, like just how not to make a movie of this schlockfest. And then I kept pausing it, and I was like, how are there 50 minutes left? How is there 30 minutes left?
I think it was entertaining in the way that I just always was writing notes. Like I was never not writing notes because it was just it just kept being like what really oh okay.
For the record, I think this is one of the most incompetent pieces of visual media I've ever seen. I don't want to like, for example, if you're looking at my Letterboxd thing and being like, he gave it like less than half a star of Ringmaster, which we just covered. Ringmaster is a much more painful experience, but I was just like, well, this is exactly what I expected out of this. It's just far more incompetent, but weirdly more interestingly incompetent than something like Ringmaster.
Right.
I don't know what you are all thinking about that, but...
Bryden, go ahead and give your quick thoughts. Charlie gave his, and then I'll give mine, and then we'll get into the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess... Where do I even start? I think the movie is like doesn't really have a good handle on its characters. Two of the main guys, Simon and Greg, I don't think they look like so similar when like you're first introduced to them that like you can't even really tell them apart. And there's like so much obnoxious humor in the movie with like all like the references, like oh, this is like right out of Romero. A what? Romero, the trilogy of like the night, dawn, and day, and there's also like potentially like racist jokes too. Like there's a scene where one of the characters like says like, oh, I don't think that character is a natural red, white, and blue, and it's like talking about the Asian character. I'm like, fuck you! I'm supposed to be rooting for this character. Like
she's the only good one. She's like the only character I was like, she's kind of cool because she's like kicking ass and whatnot, and she's.
Her name is Liberty, too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, like, all the action scenes are, like, there's not really much of a sense of, like, where everyone is in relation to each other. Like, at one point when they're on, like, the beach, like, you're seeing everyone on the shore, but then all of a sudden it cuts to Jurgen Prochnow shooting at people with a machine gun. It's like, wait, where is he in relation to everyone else? I don't know where he is on the actual shore. It's all, like, so lethargically paced. There's, like, so many slow motion shots and just, like, shots... And, like, I guess, like, he's doing stuff like the sort of rip-off Matrix, like, 360-degree shots and everything. He literally calls down the commentary of, like, the Matrix shots or whatever with, like, sort of revolver cameras. But, like, it's, like, there's no real sense of rhythm with how the shots, like, actually fit into, like, the way the scene plays out. And it's just, like... It's just, like, it's a slog to sit through. And it's just, like, so joyless. I got very little pleasure out of this. I think especially because, like, so much of the time it does have, like, this sort of, like, smarmy humor that, like, is constantly just, like, rubbing your face and its obviousness and everything. Like, when a character, like, says, like, oh, size matters or whatever when they're holding guns. And I'm like, all right, yeah,
I think that was an outdated joke, like, 10 years before this movie came out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's, but yeah, I didn't find this fun.
That joke ended whenever Godzilla used it as a tagline and said size does matter. That's it. But yeah, just what you were going, both of y'all pretty much were saying the same thing, is that the thing that stood out most to me was not even the directing or the ADR that's all over the place. It's the fact that these characters are they're so odd to me. Like, there are so many characters that I did not know the name until they were about to die, and somebody's like, oh no, so-and-so, and I was like, I did not even know their fucking name. And then, we learned that, well, actually we learned this at the start, but I feel like this was a post-production thing, because it starts with Rudy is, like, doing post-production voiceover about how his ex-girlfriend is going to be there and blah, blah, blah. But whenever she sees him, maybe I was off writing notes or something like that, but I don't remember them, like, any type of tension or anything like that, or it felt like they had to add that in at the beginning because they didn't get that in the actual scene, but I don't remember.
Yeah, like, well, first off, like, you meet that character, you meet Rudy at the beginning, he's narrating the fucking thing, but then you don't meet him again for, like, 40 minutes, like, in the movie, where they just suddenly show up back at the house, I'm like, oh, these people know each other? And then, like, I didn't realize until later, I'm like, oh, wait, that's, like, the guy we met at the beginning? Okay, missed that. And then, there's, like, the line, and, like, it's funny how, like, he ends up back with, like, his ex-girlfriend, and then, like, her boyfriend, like, ends up with, like, some other girl and everything. And I'm like, both couples seem, like, weirdly nonplussed by this. That, like, they both, like, are making out with other people. And they're just like, all right, well, gotta move on to the next objective. It's like, no one cares. No one gives a shit. It's... Yeah.
Well, a few things about this. First of all, I think it's funny because I mentioned that I saw School of Rock and The Rundown, like, by myself with, like, 2 other 12-year-old friends of mine at the time. And this trailer was before that the whole time. And
really?
We were like, both movies. Both movies.
It feels weird that they would have, like, an R-rated horror movie, even if it was a green band before PG-13 movies.
It was different back then, I swear to God. Or my memory's fucking with me. But anyway, it was one of those things where it was like, it didn't matter when we were at that age, even at 12, it didn't matter how the quality of the movie was. It would be like, is this scary and gross?
Yeah.
And, like, I think there was a part of me that as a 12-year-old, like, they in the trailer, the big thing after they put that it's the House of the Dead is, like, I can't think of the main zombie's name, but
Juggalo.
Yeah.
No, I believe his name is Juggalo Zombie, but go ahead. That's what I called him.
Ona Grower, or whoever played Alicia, just the whole line that makes no sense in the context of the movie of, I've been waiting for you for a long time, and then sticking his tongue in his ear, which is disgusting, and it's actually worse in the trailer because it makes it seem as if he's, like, sexually violating her. Like,
in the movie, it's like a different cut or something, I think.
It's disgusting in the trailer because it just shows a blip of it and then, like, more sound effects as it cuts to black. And I just remember being like, we were all just like, ugh, like, that's not, even as a 12-year-old, I'm like, that's not okay for an all audiences green band trailer. And just, like, being like, oh, like, knowing something was that awful when I was a kid, like, in retrospect, like, this is what I was afraid of the entire time. But also just knowing the whole history of how Uwe Boll and all that stuff, like, how awful his movies are and stuff like that, I think I got kind of a rush about, like, just how terrible this thing was. Like, right. I can't explain it, but, like, it's just the incompetence of it, and just how I also, being 12 years old in 2003, I know this is going to sound weird, but, like, knowing that style of smarmy humor, like, this was what was known as funny, and this is what was known as edgy and stuff like that, and just watching it as a 2003 time capsule and being like, oh my God, like, it's just fascinating to me and how awful it is. So I guess that's why, like, I still gave it fucking half a star on Letterboxd. I'm not saying anyone go out and see this, but it didn't bore me in ways that it bored all of you, but it did. I will say, whenever I paused it, I was like, how the fuck is there this much left?
I think if I was not taking notes from it, I would have been even more bored than I was. I think just the steady stream of just what the fuck read, like, kept me engaged in a way, but I was not entertained at all. It's like I said, I had seen this when it came out because I think that was probably like 4th or 5th grade when I was still scared of horror movies, but everybody was like, this is not scary, it's terrible actually, and I was just like, cool, I get to watch an R-rated horror movie and not be scared. But yeah, that I don't have anything eloquent to say other than it's terrible. But let's get into some of the characters that are in this, and unfortunately there's no big people in it besides Clint Howard, honestly.
Jürgen Prochnow, who was like a German actor, I believe, and he was like,
right.
He'd been like in a few American movies, like, you know, he's in like Michael Mann's The Keep, he's in Air Force One, he's in He's in the movie A Dry White Season by Yuzan Halsey. He's quite scary in that. That's a good movie, but yeah, he's like a character actor, I guess, that gives this movie cred. Yeah.
Real quick, can I tell you a funny story about Michael Mann's The Keep?
Please.
Which
Yes.
is that I work at the Coolidge. This was before I even worked there, but I went to a midnight show there when I was just like a regular patron, and there was a midnight movie. I don't even remember what midnight movie it was, but we went there, and then Mark, the program manager who I'm friends with, basically got up and was like, so we couldn't get the print of whatever we got, but instead we're going to show Michael Mann's The Keep because there's a reel of film that just has the word keep on it, and we just assumed that meant keep this reel. So we didn't know we were ever supposed to give it back. So
You just had.
we just had it because it just said keep on it.
It didn't even have like a false name on it. Like when
I have no idea. This
Wow.
was several years ago, but I just think that's so funny that's how I ended up seeing Michael Mann's The Keep, was by accident, and because the theater was like, well, we have to have this. It says keep on it. So,
But I also feel
Anyway.
like if you tried to advertise that you have the keep, somehow Michael Mann would just like be awoken and be like, you're not fucking showing the keep. So,
to be fair, this was like, I don't know, 2013, 2014, maybe earlier. I don't know if we still have it anymore. I just thought it was a funny thing about like, yeah, we just had this because it had that word on it, and we just assumed it meant what it meant. So
holy shit. That's awesome.
Anyway.
That's pretty wow. Let's get to this cast real quick because we gotta talk about this fucking movie. It stars Jonathan Cherry as Rudy, which the same year he's in Final Destination 2, and that's pretty much it.
Better movie.
Yes. Tyron Listo as Simon. He was in the canceled show that was a really big critical hit, Wonder Falls, in 2004. Anna Gruner as Alyssa, which it was, I don't know, like 20 minutes.
Is it Alicia?
Alicia, yes. I think it was like damn near 20 minutes left in the movie, and then somebody's just like, Alicia, don't do that. And I was just like, wait, she has a name? Because y'all haven't said her name before.
She doesn't speak for 20 minutes. I swear to God, her and let me look this up.
Karma?
Sorry, real quick. Yeah, she and Karma are just on the boat and have no line of dialogue for at least 15 to 20 minutes.
And then the other woman just gets puked on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's Ellie Cornell, which I wrote her down because she plays Casper, and she played Rachel in Halloween 4 and 5. So I put down some of the main people that have been in things, but yes, like the German actor you said, Bryden, and Clint Howard, those are pretty much the biggest people. And apparently Clint Howard was in a few other Uwe Boll movies prior to this, so
yes, and this is something I found in my research on the House of the Dead website, where Uwe Boll shared an email apparently from Ron Howard that says, Academy Award winner Ron Howard, a beautiful mind, congratulates director Uwe Boll on his movie Heart of America. And like there's like a whole email that's apparently by Ron Howard, but I'm just thinking, okay, did Uwe Boll write this? Especially, or did like Ron Howard just think like, oh yeah, I'm here to support my brother Clint? But it is just like very funny how he just like is like, yeah, Ron Howard like, you know, likes my movie and everything. It's like, okay,
yeah. And then I'm sure he was just like, Ron, my new movie, House of the Dead, is out. Will you watch it? And then he never heard from him again. One last bit of trivia from me, and Bryden, I'm sure you have other tidbits that we can go through, but just before we get into the plot of it all, I did not know this at all. In 2008, Lionsgate, which Lionsgate bought Artisan, so they owned it at the time. In 2008, Lionsgate released a quote-unquote director's cut version of the movie on DVD, but it was called the Comedy Edition. The film was made into a comedy with new music, alternate scenes, outtakes, and several overlay commentaries, which is the reason for the subtitle Funny Version. And it says that it's just exposing humor in the performances, self-ironic, partly dumpy. It has fart noises throughout of it. So yeah, that was a cool idea, I guess. But I was just blown away that they put that out on DVD.
Well, was that Boll's like version of the Tommy Wiseau like
he's in on it,
laughed at the Room, where it's just like it was always meant to be a comedy, where it was like no, like there's bits of comedy in it, but not in the ways that you expected it to be.
Right, yeah. I think it starts with, like, people, like, tying up Uwe Boll and making him watch House of the Dead as, like, torture or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
Well, what was funny, too, is, like, I read about the director's cut on, like, a Bloody Disgusting article from 2008, and it was like, yeah, it talks about, like, features new dialogue, alternative takes, pop-up commentary, and animation from the original video game. And I was thinking, wait, like the spliced in footage of like the video game, was that like added in as the director's cut? And Kevin, I was talking about this with you. You said that like it was like no, I think that's like from the original cut too. But but I remember that from the original when I first watched it in like 2003 or 2004. But that's funny too because on the website for House of the Dead, a lot of great emails on this website. Uwe Boll said, I make my movie House of the Dead for the horror and video game fans around the world, and thousands of emails they show me that they don't want video game animation scenes in the movie, and so I changed now the movie. The fans can be happy now. In a DVD version, maybe 6 months after the theatrical release, I will show my animation stuff additional. And I guess he was just like, fuck you all, and he put it in. I don't know.
Wow. Can I read the opening line? I just want to read the opening line.
Yes. I should also probably do a quick plot synopsis. I can do this really quick. Group of kids get on a boat to go to the quote-unquote hottest rave of the year. When they get there, they find out that the island is overrun by zombies there. This first line is fucking insane.
I wrote down... Did anyone else write this down?
I wrote down parts of it. I feel like I want to hear you say the whole thing.
Okay.
Yes.
It was a nightmare. So many dead people. So many victims. It all started a few days ago when I came here for a rave. And now all that remains is the rotten smell of death. That's the opening line of this movie.
It all started when I came here a few days ago for a rave. Is how every great American film starts.
Someone should sample that in like a techno song. It all started when I came to a rave. Someone should put like a techno beat to it.
Yeah, I think Fatboy Slim already sampled it, but
also not to be this person because I remember I was this person where I was like, Stir of Echoes, it's really nice that like adults can just go out to a bar and have a night out and like try to get laid and stuff like that. But like these people going to a rave, they look way older than they should be, even in 2003, for this type of activity.
My man...
I don't mean to be ageist.
No, but Rudy looks like 30. He looks like the guy that can't give up the party life.
Yeah.
Which, he kind of looks like Xander from Buffy, as far as that goes. I was just like, oh, this is just great value Xander. Oh, boy.
Also, the opening credits is set to game footage, and I swear I don't know, like, I love this band, and I couldn't put my finger on what title, what song it was, but it sounds like there's some samples from a Prodigy song over the opening credits.
It sounds like a knockoff of "Smack My Bitch Up" at one point. Like, and like, I love that song, but like,
it's
like
amazing.
they fucking blow it with like the rip off. It's
yeah,
like,
there's no. I don't think there's any like quote unquote actual music in this movie.
No,
like
there's no name bands.
Yeah, there's no name bands. There's a House of the Dead rap song in it, which is truly awful. It plays over the credits and the big house shootout.
This is something also from the commentary that I found. This is something that I missed. I feel like Boll was trying to plant like an Easter egg and he messed it up. But he says the opening credits, there's like a line where like you hear like a female woman say, "You must stop Curian, the bad guy of the video game. This pays off later. Want to show the hardcore gamers that you care about the property. You want to do not only a zombie movie and a gory horror movie, but a video game based zombie horror movie based on that famous video game, House of the Dead." It's from the commentary.
It's not House of the Dead is not a game with plot. Like you're saying this like it's a Wexler from Resident Evil or something, but like it's a rail shooter. You shoot it, you put in quarters, you die, you keep doing that.
Yeah, and they mix it so badly with like it's like they were trying to keep that dialogue in as like an Easter egg. Like they mix it really badly with the sound, and like I didn't know that.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. No, Charlie, you forgot the best line of that opening dialogue is that
I did?
Yeah. We broke up so that I could study and she could practice fencing.
No. So there's the opening line and then it goes to more credits and then it cuts to what you're saying is like these weird fucking freeze frames that
it looks like CSI footage. Like
yeah. Where it's literally all telling and no showing and literally like outlaying like it gives you so much information about so many people where I don't even know who they're talking about in the frame, and they're just literally like giving backstory where I'm like, this is so confusing and I don't care because it will not mean anything later on. And apart from the fencing thing that you just mentioned, it doesn't. So yeah.
Yeah, she practiced fencing because she will use a sword later. The whole freeze frame intro, all that, it's all post-production. It has to be. There's no way that was a part of the script.
It's so unflattering to the actors too, because they're like mid-blurry, like blah, like it's literally like the three women are literally all in a frame and they're literally saying who these people's names are. I'm like, I don't know which one you're referring to. Like, I don't know who you're talking about here. Like, this person thinks they were like a Harvard A student. This person has hots for this person, but plays off that they have hots for this. I'm like, what are you talking? Who are you talking to?
And like the tone of the narration is so contemptuous, where he's like, she thinks she's fancy. I'm like, are you about to like go on an MRA rant or something? Like, this sounds like horrifying.
It's awful. It's you're right. It's totally contemptuous. And then those women who even get to be major players later on just don't talk.
No.
On the entire boat ride. Like,
no, it wasn't.
First 15 minutes.
There wasn't. The only people I knew the names of in the first like 20 minutes was Simon and Greg, because they talk to each other and they keep saying their name back and forth. And I think there was maybe one of the women's name thrown, but I truly don't think there was.
I instantly, like, not even now, like, I instantly forgot what their personalities and what their traits were, because I was like, well, once they get on an island with zombies, it won't matter. And it didn't.
No.
Like, it didn't matter.
Like,
there's a scene on... Sorry, Kevin, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's like a scene when they first meet Clint Howard on the dock. I think it's either Greg or Simon who's like, who's talking to him and everything. And like, they cut to like, it's like a shot of like, someone like over Clint Howard's shoulder talking to the one guy, and then it cuts to like a reverse angle of like the other guy. But I thought they were just cutting to like another angle of the same person, because Greg and Simon look so similar that I could not tell them apart. I thought they just cut to the same guy. But I'm like, wait, that's his friend. Like, it's a completely different person. I mean, maybe I'm just goofy.
I think no. I think Simon is the one that's bribing them to take the boat to the island of death, but they say it in Spanish. He was like, that means island of death. And it was like, yeah, you said mortis. We understand that. Like,
Can I also say they bribe them like $600 and they're like, no way. And then they go, okay, $1,000. And they're like, okay, fine.
We'll die for $400 more dollars.
Look, I know things were different in 2003, but if $1,000 to take them to the island of death, that's what sways them over. Like,
well, and also the police, they're coming after him, so they might as well leave.
That's what I love too. It's like the cops are chasing them, and it's like, oh shit, we gotta go now. And then Simon says, here's this money to lose them. And then like they just drive away, and the cops are like saying, hey, get back here.
With the megaphone. With the megaphone, they don't even get on the boat.
They're like, hey, you better not be leaving. You better not.
It's like, wow, that was a really easy getaway.
And she's like shit, I gotta follow him.
They don't even point a gun at them. Like, they're just like with a megaphone, like, stop.
I wrote down that the cinematography in this movie looks like a Lifetime original movie. Like, it is so bright and ugly and crisp. And then we get, I think before they actually flee on the ship or on the boat, is we get a glimpse of the Sega rave, which there's like 10 people there, and it looks so fucking dumb. It looks so bad. But
it's the rave of the year. It's the Sega rave. I also love how that it's like one point where one of them, the narrator, is already at the rave, and it like does the same gross what's the gross gray color scheme that everyone else is like introduced by, and the person next to him just has a camcorder just pushed in on her boobs, and it was like, something didn't sit right with me. I can't explain it, and I'm just like, why is this guy just got a camcorder on this person's boobs, where first of all, gross and like disgustingly,
because it's the rave of the year, man.
And again, like, just like thinking of like how choppy the movie is, like we have like the like all these quick cut shots of the rave, and then like as like we're like getting like get this like slow down frame rate as the guy's like thinking about like these thoughts, like I'm thinking that there's something wrong going on here, and then like they and then they just fade to white to like just like show them on the dock back in Seattle. I'm like thinking, why would you like have that? It doesn't make sense why that scene transition would be used.
Yeah, they're
like just transitioning to the next just totally ordinary exposition scene.
Yeah, they were trying to build tension post-production and it just didn't work. There's also the captain on the ship whose name is Captain Kirk, and
who doesn't appreciate jokes about being called Captain Kirk, by the way.
It's very funny. There's a random couple on the beach. The woman goes swimming. The guy's like, it's too cold. There's a lot of ADR here. Simon, Greg, and 3 women on the boat. I put 3 women instead of their names because we haven't learned their names yet.
Well, that I'm sorry to pull back here, but like it's the Jaws scene. It's so clearly the Jaws scene, except they can't even be like he's too drunk. It's that he's like, oh, it's too cold, and then he just
lays on the beach,
falls asleep.
You're totally right. It's the Jaws thing, like with like the music rising as the camera like moves up like underneath like the woman. And by the way, I looked up the woman afterwards. I didn't recognize her. She was apparently Lois Lane on Smallville, the Superman show that was on the CW.
Wow.
Shit.
So
wow.
I mean, she's probably doing fine, like money wise, I imagine. But like this,
I bet she's on Law and Order. I bet you.
I hope she's doing okay.
Fuck, we didn't check and see if I didn't check and see if any of this cast had been on Law and Order. I almost guarantee it.
Maybe someone's like played like a killer or something in like a one-off episode. I don't know.
It's just so funny to me that they rip off Jaws. And, like, in Jaws, it makes total sense where they're both drunk and the guy is just too drunk to chase after her and is just kind of like, I can't. But here he's like, it's
cold.
Too cold. And then he immediately is drunk and just passes out. Like, there's no build-up to that.
Yeah.
And it also has one of those things where the camera kind of zooms in on him and then has those like splice cuts where it's like, what happened here? And then just his sweatpants and shoes are on the beach after that. It's so stupid.
It's so weird. I don't know why the scene just doesn't play out, but it goes back to the boat, and then it goes back to the scene, and then it goes back to something else on the boat, and then it comes back to the scene. And the scene on the beach, if you combined it would be like 2 minutes. And like, you could... There's like no tension because we keep going back to the boat. The second time we go back to the boat, the blonde on the boat, which we don't know her name until she is literally a zombie later in the movie, and somebody's like, no, and then we find out her name. But Greg puked on her, so she's cleaning her clothes and she's just topless. And Clint Howard's like, here, have a cross, it'll protect you. And she goes, I'm already on the pill. I was like,
I wrote that down too. Which, first of all, like, I wrote down the on the pill thing, and then I thought, and I was like, wait a minute, they're zombies. They're not vampires. Like, crosses protect people from vampires, not zombies.
I mean, they're kind of vampires because they're immortal. They use other people to become...
It's the blood that reanimates them, as I believe Rudy yells out while they're running away from his scene. He's like, oh my gosh, that's the blood that wakes them up, as like they're running out of a room. It's
that scene where there's a zombie fish and the fucking karma just comes out of nowhere and just whacks the shit out of the tank. And they're like, wait, no! He's like, that's the blood that reanimates them! Like, really fast. And then it cuts back to the beach. The beach woman is looking for the beach guy, stumbles upon the titular house that looks like a banger Spirit Halloween set. It looks terrible. It looks so awful. The beach guy is dead. The zombie digs his hand in his chest. And then it cuts to the woman, and then it does this almost stir of echoes with the red. It goes a whole red screen. Mm-hmm. And then it will like sometimes just have a 360 degree of the person just standing, and then it goes to red.
It looks like it makes them look like you're selecting your game avatar on like a video game menu.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so baffling, and they do that multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
And then they like just stop like halfway through because I guess they're just like after like 4 people die within 20 minutes. They're like, we can't keep doing this.
And I think
they're like, they get it.
And this might be like one of the first scenes where we get like the slicing game footage where as we're zooming away from the island, we get slicing footage of like the game footage, and which Boll says like he does that so that like you don't forget that it's based on a video game. And it's like, no, we get it. Thank you.
I'm just watching this. Wait, what's going on? What is this? Is it based on a game? Is this a real property? I don't know. Oh, my bad. It's a video game.
My favorite splice, I can't tell you at what point point in the movie this has, but there's a splice in which it says free play at one point. Where it's not even trying to hide it. It's like just filming the arcade version of free play.
I think there was a part where like he wanted to put like game over or something like that, and even the studio was like, go fuck yourself, you're gone too far.
Look, like, you can only say that at the end, but I'm jumping the gun here.
And then after the beach people die, there's another random couple on the beach that are trying to have sex, and then they're interrupted by pervy zombies. The police are following the boat because the boat left when they wanted to inspect it. The obvious smart woman of the bunch is noticing things are wrong, which that's Alyssa or Alicia, who is Rudy's ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
And she's called smart because she knows the word cartography, and one of the other is like, cart what? And it's like, okay. It's just like a lazy cart.
Well, it's because everybody's like, oh, wait, I thought this is the rave of the year. This is weird. Oh, they have beer. And she's just like, something's weird. And they're just like, whatever, we have booze.
And just like another, like, I'll try not to go like super micro with like all these things, but like it is just like another weird thing. And this is something I noticed in like watching Alone in the Dark. Like, he doesn't really, like, Boll, some of the shots, like, they're in focus, but like it's how he strings them together that's like really weird. Is like, he cuts from like a scene of like Greg wiping vomit off of his mouth, and then he cuts to like a swooping shot of like the police boat with like a big blast of music, and it's like, you don't cut from like something like that to like a big, it's very jarring how he cuts into it. And then he says like, Boll is talking about in the commentary, like that's like where the ADR comes in, and it's like someone saying like, oh yeah, we don't have backup or whatever. And on the commentary, it's like one of his producers and one of the actors, and then like one of the actors I think says like, oh yeah, that's a great ADR line. I thought that was excellent ADR. I'm just like, he's so clearly shitting on the movie that he's in. I just thought that was really funny.
The amount of shots too that were just like, we're back on the boat, like the just the sweeping, scoping, we're on the boat, like it's just terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't think I explained it, but enough. But they get to the island. I think Clint Howard is like offshoring some like, I think he calls it like supply, which we learned.
He also has one hand.
Cigars. He's pretty much the guy from I Know What You Did Last Summer, but Clint Howard.
Yeah, and Jurgen Prochnow and him, like, they want to hide like illegal merch that they have on the boat. Like, they're thinking, oh, we can hide this on shore or whatever, and that's like what they're lugging onto the island.
Which is funny. Like, what, 30 minutes ago, they're like, we're not going there. That's the island of the dead. And then they're just like, well, we better put some guns here and shit. I don't know.
For $1,000. For $1,000.
Yeah.
It's just that amount of money. Jesus. Anyway.
So they get to the island. There's nobody there. The smart woman of the group, which she has, it's Alicia, but we don't know that yet because nobody says her name. She realizes something's gone wrong, but everybody's just excited that there is a rave, was a rave. They don't think anything's wrong. They split up. Couple starts making out, and when the man says, let's go somewhere where we won't get wet, because they're on the beach, and to which the woman brilliantly replies, too late. He also says, we're going to do the humpity bumpity baby. That's a line.
I wrote that down too.
We're going to group some funky tunes, he says at one point.
Look, I'm gay, but if anybody says we're gonna do the humpity bumpity, I'm gonna be like,
get out!
Like,
yeah, she's hyped about it, man. Oh yeah.
And then, but like, then there's like this whole scene where like there's like a lot of like really like mumbly dialogue where like when they're making out, like he's like, oh. And then he's talking about like he needs to take a piss, but she thinks he has like erectile dysfunction. There's like a 90-second scene where they're just like talking about this like over each other, like mumbling, like, oh, do you have like a problem getting started? It's like, no, I need to go take a piss or whatever. It's just like, it's so badly mixed. Like, it's just like, I don't know what the 80 like.
Well, he also tries to take a piss in the tent, and she's like, not in here.
Where else am I supposed to go? She's like, go out there. He's like, okay, and then she's like, wait, don't leave me alone. And he's like, I'm just gonna be out there in 5 seconds.
But he also, like, well, we shouldn't get to that part. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, don't spoil the movie.
Like I have 5 times already.
There's another shot of a zombie hand grabbing a tree. This is like the second time, and it's used like 5 times in this movie. I don't know if that's Uwe Boll's idea of menacing. It's just a hand grabbing a tree.
Foreshadowing.
Captain Kirk is looking for Clint Howard. They start investigating and whatnot, and I believe Karma's like, didn't you ever watch Scooby-Doo? That's It's a good observation there. We get our first shot of the Juggalo zombie, which apparently has a name, but that's his name for me.
I thought he looked like Palpatine almost with like the dark hood. I know this is like 2 or 3 years before like Revenge of the Sith, where that's like the plot reveal. But like I always thought like he looks like Palpatine almost with that hood.
Look, as a child, we all knew even in episode 1 that he was going to be Palpatine.
Sure,
right.
Yeah. This was also something I just thought was really funny. You could probably make a drinking game out of all the times like Captain Kirk is like trying to light a cigar during any scene in the movie. He's like smoking cigars in the rain, smoking cigars while he's shooting zombies, smoking cigars even as he's dying from like blood loss. Apparently, he's like always asking, "Give me a light for my cigar." There's also a scene where like Simon does like one of the dumb boyfriends does like a bad British accent, and someone's just like, "What accent is that?" And then as like the girls are like walking ahead, the camera holds on him, and he's just like lagging behind, apparently like so wounded by people hating his accent that he just like, "Oh, I don't know, I'm sorry." And like that's like again like talking about another movie where like the buttons for like the scenes to end like are not figured out very well at all. But anyways,
no,
yeah.
They eventually find the titular house where they meet Rudy and a few other people. The cool guy wearing a damn t-shirt chastises Karma for not knowing a Romero movie. So that was like some really cool guy stuff that he does.
What was the line that he said? It was like, they say he's going to make like
Twilight of
the Dead at some point, but I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I was like, is this just a horror movie for him out of a sudden?
Like what?
Did Ain't It Cool News write this? Like, what's going on?
And there's it's also like we were talking about like why this guy like why he's there in the movie with like shooting the footage. I mean, he's the one who shows the footage of like the massacre of like the zombies at the rave. And it's really just kind of like a funny detail. It's like you can hear like you don't really see a lot of the footage or anything, but like you hear like the screaming on it, but also the techno beat keeps like continuing from the rave and everything. I just thought that was like funny. It's like, well, they can't stop partying. Like,
what's funny about that is the next year, the Dawn of the Dead remake, how it ends with them getting on the boat and going to the island.
Yes,
and
that's
it's handheld.
Oh my god,
that's a really great scene, and it's like they saw this movie and they're like, we can do that 1,000 times better.
Yeah,
I didn't even consider the fact that Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake came out not even a year later. Like that was like March of 2004 or something. I swear it was like spring of 2004.
It is March 19th, 2004. Good memory.
There we go. But to get back to the real masterpiece at hand, they start walking out of the house. I forget for what. Rudy asks Alicia, who's the boy over there with the Tom Cruise smile and the Rain Man brain? And then the blonde from before turns into a zombie, snaps cool horror guy movie's head, and gets shot to death by a cop. And the cop is revealed to be Casper, the woman that had been following them. And literally, I typed this in all caps, no one is upset by someone being murdered in front of them besides the woman who says she was her best friend very terribly. And then eventually, like 5 minutes later, somebody's just like, she was our best friend, and then that's it.
No, it's not just that. It was like, who was that? She was our best friend, and then it cuts back to her and she says, not anymore.
right. And then all of Casper's dialogue in the scene is all ADR'd. It's really bad. Folks, the zombies are out here swimming. They're trying to get on the boat. And then Kurt is like, he just sees people get on his boat. They could be anybody. He just sees people getting on his boat and just immediately starts shooting them? Does that mean he knows this is an island of zombies, or is he just very protective of his boat?
Yeah, he knew that it was worth $1,000. He knew that $1,000 would be worth going to this fucking place that has zombies on it.
I guess. And then in that scene where Alicia is upset and whatnot, she's saying something like, I can't believe Cynthia died. And I was like, oh, that was her name? Oh, I'm glad she has a name after she died. The Juggalo zombie is watching them walk to the boat. Another zombie hand on a tree. More techno and close-up of zombies. That scene is insane. It's like shot like a fucking music video. They find the boat and Simon jumps into the water to get to the boat, but his friends warn him that it's actually a zombie on the boat and not Kirk. Kirk is on the island, also with an assault rifle. Liberty, who's a woman that we meet with Rudy, she gets into the water to just just starts stabbing zombies like a motherfucker. It's just really cool.
One of the zombie heads explodes like a smashed watermelon, and it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like they at least got the effects kind of right, you know?
Right.
Also the zombies. This is something. Not only are they really fast, which is like that seems to be like the trend, but also they're like they have strength where they can lift like giant metal rods to like attack people. Like they're grabbing like weapons and everything. I'm like, that's like really advanced. That like they can do that. I mean, I'm not saying that like necessarily as like I didn't mean that as good. I was just like I just wrote in my notes, wow, one zombie has a giant metal rod they can lift. I was like, that's surprising. And like there's like one zombie later who I think like gets like his legs cut off, but he's like still trying to like crawl to like grab a weapon. And it's like one committed zombie. But, yeah.
Right, yeah. It's weird because like I would guess 28 Days Later kind of popularized like fast moving zombies. And then this movie also has it, and the Dawn of the Dead remake like really doubles down on it. And then Land of the Dead is like they're slow, but they're smart, that type of thing. Next up, Kurt gets bit, unfortunately, and they know that zombies exist because they call them zombies, but he gets bit, and they never mention like that he's gonna turn. So,
yeah, like because we see Casper's partner later, who like we met at the beginning, he gets turned, and like she has to like kill him, and it's like doesn't really have any emotional impact or.
I know she's just like, oh no, they got you.
Yeah, but like I'm thinking he's on the island for less time than Kirk. Like it's like so like I don't know when he got bitten or whatever, but like Kirk, like he's like he never gets zombified, even though he's like bitten and like is going into that long battle for like a long time. It's like it's very strange.
I know. It's not Greg, because I think he's already off in the woods. I think it's Simon that gets the acid on his face from the zombie puke or whatever.
Yeah, he like kicks the corpse when it's down, and then like it spits acid in his face, and which is kind of funny. Just like projectile stuff, like just like being involved with this guy, because I think he's also the one who vomits on the boat or whatever, or maybe it's someone else. But
Rudy just like gets a towel and puts it to his face, and somebody's like, "Are you a doctor?" And I was like, "What? You cover up acid? Like it's not something you learn in fucking." Yeah, I don't know. That scene really made me laugh. There was a flashback. I just put, what the hell is this flashback? But now I forgot what the flashback was.
Oh, it's when the main villain kills Captain Crunch. That's what the main flashback is.
That's right.
Yeah, there's like a Kirk is like, well, as the story goes, and then it cuts to like a
yes.
It looks almost like sepia, almost. It's like super desaturated,
sepia
almost
tones.
Yeah, and then like there's like it's like, well, as the story goes, then like dramatic strings immediately kick in, and then like just like talk about like Castillo says experiments not of God, like what has God done for you or me? There is only me, and then he like strangles him and. The legend is that like he enslaved natives on the island and like made them zombies or something, and like did that to like keep people off the island or something.
But there's no commentary about natives or anything about that.
No. Zombies come after Greg as one of the strangest shots happens, where it's a close up on his face while the frame rate is cut in half. Like it's like a weird, like almost like feels like a GoPro's on his face, and it's like 12 frames per second. It's really weird. They hold up in the house, but first, the shootout in slow-mo in front of the house, which, I don't know, it's like a 3-foot walk to the house, and the scene lasts like 15 minutes. There's no way to really describe the scene. You kind of just gotta watch it. They pretty much all become expert marksmen after the captain give them the guns and whatnot. There's the fucking Matrix shot where she shoots the buckshot, and then we get the close-up on the bullet, and then it hits, and then an axe is thrown, and then it's a whole thing.
Well, let's just say that everyone gets a 360 camera shot.
Pretty much,
every single character. And then a zombie does a flip and throws an axe.
Yeah. And she shoots a shotgun mid-air. There's no kickback whatsoever. I feel like if you did that, really, she'd go flying. Yeah. And then when she like hits the zombie and everything, you get like close, like zoomed in close-ups of the bullets, which look kind of like beetles almost, like with the textures and everything. And then like when like it like goes to the angle of like the zombie getting hit, the axe just like happens to fly by the woman, completely misses her.
Right by the head.
Yeah, completely misses.
Very lucky.
All the zombies can like defy gravity in the scene. They just like are very obviously wire shots where they're jumping and they're just like gliding through the air.
Like when they kill Greg, they're like leaping bounds, like long jumps almost, like into like the forest to like eat him or whatever. They're very agile.
My roommate, who is also a veteran, also who has fired guns in the past, and not like I'm looking for any form of realism in this movie, but he thought it was especially funny that every person who fires a gun, even a handgun, kind of does this jolt where they flick their wrist forward and then fire the gun, and he was just like, they would all have broken wrists.
Yeah.
Like even in a movie like this, like everyone just like like that's not how, like, and not like I go to this type of shit for any type of realistic stuff, but
there's a limit.
He just started laughing where he was just like, yeah, they'd all have like their wrists would be totally inactive, like.
That is funny. And then this is the scene where, like, you talk about, like, a character gets PTSD, like, seconds after a character dies or whatever, right? Like, that's the scene where, like, Liberty gets killed, then it zooms in on, like, Rudy, the screen goes red, and you basically get, like, a whole sped-up montage of all the carnage that has happened up until this point in the movie. It's such a bizarre choice in the middle.
It zooms into it, not even his eye. Like he blinks, and it zooms. He into
closes
like,
his eyes.
eyelid. Yeah.
He's like, hold on, I need to process this.
Yeah, and then all throughout this bad House of the Dead rap song is going on. I put down Uwe Boll loves shots of zombies flying through the air after a grenade goes off, and then I was like mid note, and I was just like, why did they murder Liberty? Because she was like the best person so far, but. They just kill her off for no reason. I think then they finally get into the house. Casper is trying to get into the house, and then zombies just rip her legs off.
Yeah, no, but they're like clearly hacking in a messy way.
I know.
It's genuinely just like and then like just clean legs ripped off, cut like.
Yeah, and then people are finally running out of ammo after shooting like 20 clips of bullets from the 2 clips of ammo they have. Kurt gets bitten again, and I was saying previously, like, they know zombies exist, but they think they can treat these wounds for some reason. Like,
and then on top of that, Kirk is like, they're like, why are you going out into the zombie like minefield that we're clearly barricaded against? And he goes, I'm dead already. And he like lights a stick of dynamite
and just walks out.
Just walks out. But not only walks out, he walks out not far enough so that the doors won't be blown up.
Blows up half the house.
He's like, I'm protecting people. It's like, no, you just created like chaos for every living other person you claim to care about.
Oh my goodness.
Do you guys want to know a couple of the notes on this scene from Uwe Boll's commentary?
Yes.
So he was talking about, like, during the whole big house or graveyard shootout, a bullet got fired into the camera. It says the bullet came out, the blank broke, went through the glass of the camera, stuck in the lens and destroyed the lens. And then this is Uwe Boll being as tasteful as ever with his commentary. So sometimes you know why Brandon Lee died on set. That's what he says. And then he also says when Casper dies, it says, this is all very intense. This is what I really like, because everybody likes Ellie Cornell, that's the actress. And it's a shame that she must die, but she cannot play her on her stumps the rest of the movie. And I just thought that was a weird bit of logic.
Especially considering we're recording this now after the whole incident with
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I didn't want to.
And
I feel bad that I'm forgetting the cinematographer's name who was passed away as a result of this. Yeah,
it is Helena Hutchins.
That's right.
Yeah, and it is actually relevant, I think, to talk about. Uwe Boll has had some like pretty bad set conditions. Yeah, okay, so there was a propane explosion on the last day of shooting on In the Name of the King, Two Worlds, and like in brackets on the interview, Boll said like people were burning. The shoot for Blood Rain, casting crew were attacked by gnats and bees and passed dead horses on the way to work, and even the live horses were difficult, throwing off actors and galloping into the forest at the clapperboard. So this guy does not really seem to have much of a plan when he's making movies. I mean, there's even like a bit in the interview with Vanity Fair where it says when he was making Blood Rain, the casting crew flew to Romania's Carpathian Mountains with only a rough first draft of a script and a vague plan to just take a crack at it.
Cool.
So this guy does not really seem to have any real sense of responsibility when running a set.
Did you, kind of off topic, but still on topic, did you look up, like, the tax break that he was getting from Germany that's pretty much how he funded his movies?
I did read some stuff like that. It seemed sketchy.
Yeah, I think they closed that loophole by, like, 2005, and then after that he just financed his own movies, but before that there was a way that he could just somehow write off 50% of his budgets. So, like, and then Germany would just pay for it somehow.
What?
But, yes. I found the quote from the Alone in the Dark DVD commentary. Boll explains how he funds his films. Maybe you know it, but it's not so easy to finance movies in total. And the reason I'm able to do these kinds of movies is I have a tax shelter fund in Germany. And if you invest in a movie in Germany, you basically get 50% back from the government. Boll has received significant negative publicity regarding this funding method, attributed to a loophole in the German tax laws that was finally closed in 2006. So yeah, pretty wild.
We're getting near the end of the movie, though, I think, plot-wise. Right?
Yes. Right up next. Oh, this part, Jesus Christ. This is where everything calms down a little bit. Simon chooses this moment to feel embarrassed by his acid face injury after Liberty got bit to death, and Casper got both legs chopped off and dies, but this is the utmost importance right now. Who's gonna look at me in the face looking like this? I belong in the circus. And then Karma's like, I think you're still pretty sexy. And then there's a makeout session, I guess.
In front of everyone, by the way.
And then zombies are like dragging the bodies off, and they're like, why are they dragging the bodies off? Blah, blah, blah. 25 minutes left in the movie, and the main woman still doesn't have a name, but decides to make out with Rudy. Just a bunch of women feeling sympathy for dudes that can't stop crying about their inconveniences.
Yeah, and another commentary bit from Uwe Boll. He says, there's like a scene where like I think someone like just starts like shitting on the movie. Says like, I like the red lamp. Where's that electricity come from or whatever in the background of the scene? And then Uwe Boll says, it's a funny scene. If you start questioning it, it's over. He says, I can destroy every movie with my commentaries. Give me Beautiful Mind or Schindler's List. I will do the same. And like, and kind of funny he talks about Beautiful Mind because talk about how much Ron Howard loves his movies. But he says it's a great scene. It's like Gone with the Wind. And then everyone else in the commentary starts laughing, and he's like, no, I really like it. I believe him. His character good in Final Destination 2. And then one of the other guys says, I don't know if I compare it to Gone with the Wind. And then like he says, like, you just compare it, like in under a minute you cited Schindler's List, Beautiful Mind, and Gone with the Wind. Like, it's just like the audacity of this guy, just like completely unchecked ego.
I think it's Karma. She says maybe this. I'm going to say the second best line of the movie, because the best line of the movie is coming up. She goes, guys, check out this book. It looks pretty old. Maybe it'll help us. Alicia, the main woman, finally has a name. So right around this time, somebody finally says that. They explore the house and find a room that looks like a lab with dead bodies. Zombie Clint Howard shows up. Kurt goes outside to see him. Rudy goes outside to help, but Kurt informs him he's dead already. Karma, the other woman, finally has a name. We find zombie fish, and it brings the dead bodies back to life in the lab. Simon allows himself to be eaten by zombies, presumably because he feels bad about his face. This is when he shoots the gunpowder or whatever and blows up the house, but it helps them. So it's now Alicia, Karma, and Rudy are underground now. Also, it seems like this movie doesn't follow the shoot 'em in the head zombie logic at all, because they're just like one shot and they're dead, just anywhere.
Yeah. And also with that gunpowder barrel exploding shot, Boll says that that's like the Pearl Harbor shot where the bomb.
Shut up.
The bomb. Yeah. And I just find it so funny studying all these filmmakers. It's like, oh, it's like that shot, but then he ends up insulting all those filmmakers or whatever. It's just like, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
Isn't that nitroglycerin or like bullet powder thing already leaking too?
Probably
something like that. Yeah,
it's already leaking, and it's been leaking for that long, and then also still leaking.
And then they just run
to explode,
and then they just run underground, and like they just are able to dive for cover and like be totally fine. I'm thinking, wouldn't like the ground like collapse probably, or like it's...
Yeah, well, the exterior is just in flames. Like it doesn't make any sense.
The algae zombies kill Karma. Greg is alive and is wearing a cloak. And
the moss zombies, they come out of like moss. Like,
yeah, it was weird.
Can I also just say real quick, one thing I noticed is like, they have so much budget, but when they kill major characters, it's just they push them against an exterior wall and then just drag them down, and that's just it. Like,
yeah, there's
like
not
they,
there's
like
yeah, like besides the shot that me and Bryden were talking about, how when Liberty's in the water and she's knifing a zombie, but the zombie gets a chokehold on it, and she brings the zombie up so Kurt can shoot its head, and it like fucking explodes like scanner style. Like that's in it. But even like outside of the house, that big shootout, it's mostly just like it's like 1950 shootout where they just shoot and they're just like like that's
they can deal with like explosive gore, but never when it comes to the weight of the characters, like, you know, Casper getting her legs cut off, or like anybody being like, it's just like, well, we push them down to the ground, or there's just this stuff, and then result.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Like, can't you see the aftermath? And it's like, well, you tried to show what happened in between, but like it just doesn't matter.
I know. It just, if the movie doesn't care about the characters, why should we?
Yeah, exactly. Even in a schlock fest like this, like, it's not like I go to this movie for acting or for anything that's like important cinema, but like I need to have some sort of weight when it comes to like the actual aesthetics and whatever this character serves in this current moment. It says none of that.
No. Speaking of somebody who didn't get a moment, Greg. Oh, Bryden, what were you saying?
No, I mean, I was about to like lead into the scene. That skin mask that Castillo has of Greg is very impressive. It's like Mission Impossible quality mask work, where like he just pulls off the mask, and I'm like thinking, wow, it looked like totally clean and like fit him perfectly.
Well, it made me think about how even like Uwe Boll like watched Silence of the Lambs wrong, or even that was like,
I mean,
like that gag.
I love it in Silence of the Lambs, but it's like it's sloppy, kind of like how
No,
it's very bloody.
Exactly. Exactly, and even he couldn't even get that right, where it's just like it has to be a perfect disguise of this character.
Yeah, or even like which it was the same year. I think it came out like the same month. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, where it has that awesome shot where Leatherface is wearing wearing what's his name? It's a character named Kemper, and he turns around and it's like obviously his face, but it's on Leatherface's face. Like that's where it like looks real, but also looks grotesque at the same time. So I really liked that. But yeah, the Greg mask is just top tier. He just kills a zombie with like this very long Sephiroth-ass sword. But we learn it's not Greg. It's actually the Juggalo zombie wearing Greg's face. And then we get to the best line of the entire movie, where he pins Rudy down, and Rudy says, "You created all this to be immortal? Why?" And then the Juggalo zombie says, "To live forever." Yeah. And then I'm not even gonna try with the backstory or the whatever that is. We pretty much went through it already. He's been making zombies to stay immortal, and anybody who comes on the island, he makes more zombies and harvests their flesh.
Matter.
Yeah.
The reason you don't care is because the movie doesn't care either, and it's why I didn't care either.
Yeah. They escape. Now Alicia and Rudy and the Juggalo zombie must fight in a sword and axe duel. And this is where Alicia's fencing background comes in. Huh?
But you can't even really see it. It's like she grabbed it, like it's. I had to like rewind it multiple times. It's like she grabs the sword, cuts to a shot of Alicia, cuts to a shot of Castillo turning, then it cuts to her. Then there's like a half-second insert shot of like the stab actually like making impact, and then it cuts to over Alicia and like Alicia over Castillo's shoulder, and then the sword's just withdrawn. It's all like 6 seconds or whatever that you see the impact. And I'm like, yeah, like they really don't get the payoff of that. Like even as you said, like, you know, they established the fencing background, like so definitely in the opening. It's like they don't they mess that up. Yeah,
he just gets tired or something. Like
I know,
he's just kind of like, I can't, and then just kind of lays down, and then she does all the work, and then once she gets stabbed through the chest, like nearly through the heart, I would want to assume. That's when he's like, oh, well, let me do my job, and then cuts his head off. But also, it doesn't make any sense because she's been stabbed through the chest, falls down, also is stabbed through the chest, and then just kind of like is like, you got me, I will now forfeit. Like kind of like falls down as if like, you beat me, like by rules. And then he's like, oh, well, now I have to do something. And then, like, it doesn't make any sense.
Like Castillo gets his head cut off, and like, the lower half of his body is still trying to get Rudy, and it looks a lot like the Monty Python scene with like, it's only a flesh wound. But then Alicia, even though she's been stabbed through the chest, as you said, Charlie, she still gets like the strength to get back up and then like walk over to the head and like crush its head, saying, "Game over, fucker." Then she collapses again and is dead. I guess that's where Kevin, you said the game over line. That's like that's
what it is.
But Charlie, what were you gonna say?
Oh no! I was kind of jumping the gun, but the last line in the movie, I don't want to step over anyone, but the last line of the movie, even worse than the opening.
What was it? He was just like, well, she isn't dead, or whatever she is. You pretty much learned that he gave her the reanimated liquid to keep her alive, but still a zombie. And I'm just like, that doesn't help her. That doesn't help anybody.
Also, I completely forgot. I'm looking through my notes right now. There's a convenient hand grenade. I completely forgot about the convenient.
Absolutely. Yeah, same here. Just a spare grenade. Always good to have that when you need to.
Always good to have that. And by the way, by the time they go into that house, even when acid face zombie boy like blows up like barrel of gunpowder, it's night, and then there's not even like sunrise or anything like that. By the time they get out there, it's just full on daylight.
Yeah,
that is really weird. I forgot about that. That's
I was like, there's not even a transitional like sunrise or anything.
In that line where he says he's gonna resurrect Alicia, which they really like. They sneak that twist in under the wire.
I reread the Wikipedia just to kind of, if I missed anything, and it was just like, he gives her the liquid to keep her alive. And I was like, he doesn't really say that. He just says she's not alive, but she's not really, I don't even know what she is anymore.
Whatever she is now. Yeah, whatever I created. And it's like, that's pretty vague.
Not to mention that there are people who fly in through helicopters who refer to them as reanimated Homo sapiens.
Reanimated Homo sapiens, yeah.
Where I was like, excuse me?
And he's no longer Rudy, but he's Rudolph Curien, which he says that with a lot of emphasis. Where I'm like, I guess that's important. I don't know what that is. And then I looked it up. That's like the mad scientist character from the arcade game. So I guess Rudy's going to become the mad scientist from that game.
Cool, awesome.
Oh my god, yeah. What an Easter egg.
Yeah, I like how they gave it like 10 seconds of silence to be like, something's going to come up, and I'm sure 99% of the audience was like, what?
The last line I just want to read. I'm sorry.
Oh, here it is.
It was a nightmare. So many dead. So many victims. And people that were my friends. And now we go home. Me and Alicia. Whatever she is now. Whatever I've created, God, ain't life a bitch? Is this the end, or only the beginning?
Start that rap song again, right over the credits.
So bad. But I just want to say, I had to like rewind this multiple times because I didn't know what he was saying with the God, ain't life a bitch, or ain't love a bitch. Already an offensive line to begin with, but like, they didn't even have the enunciation of that.
Yeah.
Which I might not have had either, but Jesus. Like,
no, I had the subtitles on, and it was still very confusing what was being said.
The music, the name of the bands that have songs in the movie, I just want to read off their names because some of them were funny. There's Code Trasher, someone named Ray Thomas, a band called Black Tiger, someone called Okio, and then the Horror Boogies.
The dopest rap name.
Boogies.
Yeah, man.
And then like there's like that rap song that they play from like the Graveyard Shootout, and then like for like the last leg of the credits, like the last 30 seconds, they play some of the score, and then you get like the website or the actual name of like the title, The House of the Dead. They say it in that deep distorted voice, and then they get the website link. The website link stays up for 17 seconds, including another 7 seconds after the title has been spoken. And it's just like one of those other things in this movie where like every scene's either like too short or too long to really have any impact. There's no real sense of rhythm, even to the end credits. So at least it's true to itself in the end. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe am I maybe being too too harsh by honing in on these granular details?
No. There's nobody who's ever been right or wrong. Say it. I feel like I'm dogging on House of the Dead too much. Like, I don't know.
Well, look, Uwe Boll has piles of money. It's not fair to say that he's...
I mean, even in the video where one of his third Kickstarter attempt failed, he released a video on his YouTube channel called... His YouTube channel...
Give up!
His YouTube channel is called Uwe Boll Raw, and he says, basically my message is, fuck yourself, because that is so fucking absurd, what R-worded amateur idiots collecting money on their absurd websites. And he says, I will never do it in my life again. Looks like nobody gives a shit about Rampage 3, so maybe I shouldn't do it then. I have enough money to play golf until I'm dead. And also, he takes off his glasses for the message. He's wearing glasses in the video, and then he takes it off as he's giving his angry message, and it's just like, okay.
This kind of rules. God, Jesus. I feel like we could have done like a good hour on Uwe Boll and still have just scratched the surface.
I have so many notes I took on that. Yeah.
Please tell us the best ones. I know he has 2 documentaries about him.
Oh, he's also a doctor, by the way. He has a PhD from the 90s. He wrote it is called the Genre Series and its Genres. He wrote it in 1994. So he's technically Dr. Uwe Boll, as many interviews point out.
Did y'all know that his most profitable movie, at least as far as I can see, was In the Name of the King, which had a $60 million budget, and it grossed only $10 million worldwide?
Wait, that movie had a $60 million budget.
Yeah.
$60 million.
Yes. It was in theaters,
Yeah.
I know it was in theaters. This fucking movie we talked about was in theaters.
I know, but
budget.
I know. It was put out by Freestyle Releasing in the United States, but in Germany it was put out by Fox. That's weird.
But what movies of his have made money? Why would they trust him with that shit?
Let me see. It says financing. His films have often performed poorly at the box office in the United States and around the world. House of the Dead, which was budgeted at $12 million, made $5 million opening weekend. Alone in the Dark, which was budgeted at $20 million, made $5 million. Blood Rain, which was made for $25 million, made $2.4 million. Yeah. And they were just keep giving him the checks. Don't care.
From a sociological standpoint, I understand, bad films need to exist, and people like Uwe Boll need to exist to,
Not at this level.
Not at this level.
No.
Yeah, what's
Please,
funny...
Bryden, hit us with some Boll facts.
Well, what's really funny is thinking about all the high-profile actors that he has worked with at some point, whether they're they became famous later, were in fallow periods, or had glory days at one point. They had a quote in the Vanity Fair article. I keep quoting from this one article. It's a very good interview.
I need to read that.
Yeah, the article is called Game Over Uwe Boll. Good title. But Michael Madsen, who apparently was in Blood Rain, called the movie an abomination. It's a horrifying and preposterous movie. But then Madsen did say in an interview in that same article, he said, I like Uwe, Michael Madsen told me, despite what he said about the film in the past. If he called me up tomorrow to be in a movie, I'd sign up in a heartbeat. Which is...
That check must have cleared, man.
Yeah. It must have. But I'm thinking, Madsen, you must know someone from your glory days as a cool character actor in the 90s, to work with someone. I mean, I know... But anyways, yeah, it's...
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, we also... I mean, this is something that, you mentioned Ain't It Cool News. I mean, he beat up one of their writers when he, boxed his critics in, 2006.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Did you not know about that, Charlie?
No.
He literally was I'm going to box critics.
Yeah.
Please, Bryden, tell us about this.
So, yeah, there was he beat up... Okay, yeah, maligned director KO's his critics. This is CBS News in 2006. He boxed them in Vancouver, ended each bout with a knockout. 15 responded to the call. The critics who fought were Richard Kiyonka of SomethingAwful.com, Jeff Snyder, a journalist with Ain't It Cool News, went down in a technical knockout in the first round after his trainer threw in the towel. Chris Alexander with Rue Morgue Radio and Magazine also went down in a knockout. And then Nelson Chance Mintner, a website critic from Frederick, Maryland, was the youngest fighter at 17. He also lost by a technical knockout.
Wow.
Fuck?
After Kiyanka lost his match, he would go on to make several allegations against Boll, including a claim that Boll refused to fight against Chance Minter, who was an experienced amateur boxer. However, Boll fought Minter as his fourth opponent. He also alleged that Boll had misled them by claiming it was a PR stunt when he actually intended to fight them. No, wait, this is just for the cameras, and then he showed up. He was like, "Get in the ring, bitch! Come on, man." Oh man, it was also a thing where it's just like, you couldn't fight me unless you had given me like 5 negative reviews at this point.
Yeah.
Invitations were also open to film directors Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery. Oh, buddy.
Wow.
Footage of the fights were included on the DVD of his upcoming film Postal. Oh, I had to track that down. Yeah.
Oh, Postal.
I think that was one that, like, he, like, intentionally, that was, like, his edgelord king shit right there. Or is even advertised. It's like the movie too controversial for theaters. It's just like, no, it's just bad. Nobody wants to put it out. But
Postal in 2007, the story begins with a regular Joe who tries desperately to seek employment, but embarks on a violent rampage when he teams up with cult leader Uncle Dave. Their first act is to heist an amusement park, only to learn that the Taliban are planning the same heist as well. Jesus.
You know how much it made worldwide? $140,000.
Oh my god. Chaos ensues, and now the postal dude must not only take on terrorists, but also political figures.
This is also, I looked up because he was trying to kickstart a Postal sequel. This was in 2013. He said, you have to pay it because The Verge was writing about this in 2013. You have to pay it because nobody else will pay it, so you have to give me money. The goal was $500,000. He said you can potentially join the ensemble yourself if you chip in enough funding. $500 is enough to earn time on screen as an extra, but backers willing to part with $7,500 will land a speaking role. And I also
wow.
One of the actors that the only returning actor was someone named Jackie Tone. That name took a moment for me to recognize, and I later found out she played the character Melrose on the Netflix show Glow, which she wanted to better things, which is very nice.
Oh. Glow rules. I'm so sad that it got canceled.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I never watched it.
It's really good.
Watched it.
Dave Foley's also in it, and Foley is quoted in that Vanity Fair article again, where he says, it says Boll's art form, Foley theorized, is in being hated. Quote, it's his relationship with the audience that is his creation, his relationship with the critics more than the movies. I don't feel bad for him. I don't. He seems like he sounds like a nasty person, and his movies are not very good. So, I mean, look, if he says he has enough money to live off playing golf for the rest of his life, he should just go do that.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Almost Major. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Please follow the pod on Twitter at Almost Major to keep up to date with what movies we will be covering in the future. Myself, I can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at KevBonesy. Bryden can be found on Twitter at Bryden Doyle and on Letterboxd at JDoyle. Charlie can be found on Twitter and Letterboxd at CTNash91. Once again, thank you for listening.